Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Well, first I want to get to a very important piece for me. It looks like President-elect Donald Trump is putting RFK Jr. ahead of a commission. And this commission, it is highlighting vaccine safety. Now, this has been a major issue for a lot of Americans. Approximately 1 in 4 American families deals with a child that is autistic, and they're linking it to vaccines. Now, if you recall, Alex Jones, he interviewed Dr. Andrew Wakefield, the CDC whistleblower who linked vaccines and autism and the cover-up that ensued. Of course, he lost his license, but it looks like this issue is being renewed with Donald Trump at the helm, and RFK Jr. could be the person to lead this charge. Now, if you recall, he has railed against the vaccine holocaust in this country. He's also a climate change advocate, but that aside, it looks like he is the person to man this commission, and we could see Donald Trump taking on Big Pharma coming in the next 100 days. Now, I want to read you a direct quote from this article that we have up on our website and aggregated from the Daily Mail. President-elect Donald Trump has tapped Kennedy, a vaccine skeptic, to run a new commission on the safety of vaccines. Now, he revealed his new role after a meeting with Trump in the Tower on Tuesday of this week, saying that Trump asked him to head the commission on vaccine safety and scientific integrity. Now, we've covered here on Infowars, and Alex has covered this. He's interviewed Rob Dew, our nightly news director, and our senior producer, Marcos Morales, about autism-related vaccine injury. And we've been covering this for the past 2 years, and it looks like Trump is taking on this issue head-on. Now, in other news, I had to get through that first. It's been an epic day for Trump, let me tell you. The smackdown that happened with the CNN reporter Jim Acosta, who's been trailing Trump for the past months. He's been trolling him, if you will, on Twitter. I've been following it. He's the journalist who famously tweeted out that photograph of Trump post-victory in a restaurant with his family, that private meeting. It was Jim Acosta who put that at the forefront. It looks like Trump has smacked down Jim Acosta, calling him fake news today, if you can believe it. This is going viral. We have a clip of that exchange. Take a look at it.
Information that was false and fake and never happened got released to the public. As far as BuzzFeed, which is a failing pile of garbage, writing it, I think they're going to suffer the consequences. They already are. And as far as CNN going out of their way to build it up, it's a disgrace. What took place, it's a disgrace. And I think they ought to apologize to start with.
Question.
I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
Woo, that epic smackdown happening. CNN, the real fake news, the purveyors of fake media, they had the nerve to publish that dossier as fact, and he put the smackdown on Jim Acosta, trolling him in a press conference today. He took aim, calling CNN the real fake news. You know, we've been calling them out as fake news here for months and months on end. That unverified dossier, that information that was released regarding Trump and the golden shower scenario. And Leanne McAdoo and Owen Schroyer go into the accusations against Trump. Unfounded, by the way. BuzzFeed has published them. And you know what? The unverified media misspelled names, misspelled words in them, didn't bother to verify it at all. And even Russia has said that Trump's golden showers blackmail moment is, that perverted romp story isn't true. It's fake news. But CNN nonetheless jumped on the bandwagon. And we have an article up. It's from the Daily Beast, who also circulated this ridiculous piece of nonsense. This unverified, salacious 35-page document, a summary in which was presented to Barack Obama and President-elect Donald Trump last week, includes those allegations that Russian operatives sought to, quote, exploit Trump's personal obsessions and sexual perversions. And it's my understanding that the U.S. intel community jumped on the bandwagon too. You know what? If this is our U.S. intel community, we've got serious problems here, folks. And I don't mean with just the intel, because the fact that they jumped on this ridiculous BuzzFeed story, and they have a White House press pass. I just want to lay that out there. Barack Obama has given them a White House press pass, and they are actually the purveyors of fake news. They ran with this ridiculous story, and it turns out to be a hoax. There's a Zero Hedge article. This 4chan claims to have fabricated this anti-Trump report as a hoax. And guess what? Media and U.S. intel, they fall for the golden shower hoax story, hook, line, and sinker. And you know what? I'm a reporter. I've been covering Trump for years, and I can just tell you right now, from my understanding, he says he's a germaphobe. This didn't ring true when I read it. I thought it was from The Onion. Turns out the U.S. intel community briefed him about it, and it is embarrassing, but he calls it out for what it is, fake news. Speaking of news that, the vitriol in which the left is going after Trump right now, it is ridiculous. Chuck Schumer leading the helm, and he's saying that the CIA, the intel communities could actually be coming after Trump because Trump is telling the truth. I'm directly quoting here. Leanne McAdoo and Owen Schroyer reported on this yesterday. You take on the intel community. They have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. That sounds like a direct threat to a president-elect, if you ask me. And frankly, it is an embarrassment all the way around. We understand that the CIA, there are rogue agents within it. And I'm of the belief that the head of the CIA is potentially behind this, because we understand that he had that intel meeting at Trump Tower this week, briefing him on the Russian hacking. What Russian hacking is he talking about? They should release that information to the American public, because as we know, where there's smoke, there's fire, but there's no fire here and no smoke. It looks like they're blowing it up their own what. Now, speaking of one of Trump's sworn enemies, I took this from the Daily Mail, and I was formerly, a person that respected John McCain, frankly, but he's admitting that he's the smeared person behind the dossier to the FBI. And he's the person who's purveyed that information to the FBI. These details are surfacing about these documents, this bizarre journey from a British former spy and diplomat into the hands of John McCain. I don't know what happened to John McCain, but frankly, as a POW, I respected him. I believed in his message, and I am severely disappointed with Senator John McCain as an American, because I don't understand. Is it a dementia aspect? What's going on with him and Lindsey Graham? They're taking to the stage attacking with utter vitriol a sitting president-elect. He will be a sitting president come next week. And frankly, I am sick and tired of this crap. This Russian blackmail plot, it was featured in the Daily Mail. It looks like John McCain might be the person who actually handed over this garbage to the FBI, which, the BuzzFeed news organization, if we can even call them that, has published along with the Daily Beast. Now, speaking of that, speaking of Russia, as someone who lived and worked in Russia as a foreign correspondent, I understand somewhat how the thinking is behind this. And Putin himself in Russia, they're slamming this as nonsensical. They're claiming that this compromising info about Donald Trump, this perverted hooker romp that supposedly took place in Moscow where I lived, is utter garbage. And I would agree with that analysis. And speaking of, the utter garbage aspect of it, BuzzFeed themselves, they misspelled Igor Sechin, who's a Russian foreign minister. He's a Russian minister, rather. They misspell his name. They misspell a lot of aspects of this story. It doesn't ring true. And the fact that our own intel community and the media go hand in hand with trying to smear him ahead of his inauguration is embarrassing. Shame on you, Jim Acosta. Shame on you, CNN. And shame on you BuzzFeed organization. Trump called you what you were today, a steaming pile of failed garbage. And I conclude with that analysis. I don't know how BuzzFeed ever got a White House press pass. As far as I'm concerned, they are the real fake news along with CNN. And our president stood firm and called them what they were today, which was very, very refreshing in my opinion. Now, going back to Chuck Schumer for a moment, because I want to touch on his words, talking about how if you take on the intel community, they have 6 ways from Sunday to smear you and to hurt you.
You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. So even for a practical, supposedly hard-nosed businessman, he's being really dumb to do this.
Who is he to go on Rachel Maddow? Don't get me started for a minute on Rachel Maddow. The psychological aspects of this woman, I find it baffling. Just watching her sometimes, the emotional makeup of her, how she can even hold herself together long enough to get through a show. Nonetheless, a segment, but it looks like they are the purveyors of fake news, and Chuck Schumer leading the helm at that, basically outright threatening. There's no veil at this point. Donald Trump, our 45th president, saying that the CIA is coming after you. Folks, it doesn't get worse than this, but it looks like despite all of that, we have a wave of prosperity surfacing. I want to take you to this next article. It's coming out of The Last Refuge, and we put it on our website. Deutsche Bank, which, in my opinion, covering them over the years, they're a globalist bank, frankly. They had a rash of suicides in the UK a couple of years ago because of information. It looks like, however, they're predicting that Trump's economy will more than likely double the GDP, the U.S. GDP growth in the coming years. And you know what? That was one of Steve Mnuchin. He's going to head up the Treasury. That was one of his tasks, making sure that the GDP doubles and that the U.S. tax code is reformed, because we have 7 brackets, 5 of which affect the middle class. And that's his only job, to make sure that the GDP is actually growing. And under Obama, we've seen such a stagnation. We've seen such a repression, if you will. I'm hesitant to say a depression, but we've seen such a recession in the past 8 years. They inflate the numbers, so we really actually don't know the numbers of unemployment. And we know one thing, that people are hurting, they're suffering, but it looks like a wave of prosperity is coming, folks, amid the fact that we have a rogue CIA. Thank God they're on their way out the door. And this Deutsche Bank example that we've highlighted on our website, I want to take you to one specific paragraph. They're attempting to quantify a new economic dimension, and they're trying to identify the construct of 2 U.S. economies, Wall Street and Main Street. And it looks like, for the first time in a very, very, very long time, we're going to see a growth spurt in the U.S. And they're highlighting a forecast of 14%. I happen to think that number's greater, but we'll have to wait and see. And I'm looking forward to covering this Trump presidency and the wave of prosperity that's coming. Now, we also have an article that's up on our website. It's from the Free Beacon, and it talks about Obamacare. And as I mentioned before in the show, I come from a small business owner who employs 8 people. And Obamacare, what that's done to our small businesses in this country, it looks like it's just been absolutely devastating. But we have renewed hope, if you will, on the Hill. Congress is saying that they're going to repeal Obamacare, despite the ridiculous tax mangle, if you will. 58% of Americans say repealing Obamacare is important. It's more important to them than health care reform. Well, as we know, most Americans, they did not approve of Obamacare to begin with when it passed. There were several questions surrounding it. And you know what? It looks like we're ushering in a new era here, and we could see a total repeal and a healthcare system that works for all Americans. Well, be sure and join me. Coming up next in studio, our own Millie Weaver joins us live talking about the inauguration.
In case you haven't heard, Infowars has become the most influential media outlet in America. We're making freedom go viral. And now we are proud to announce a new weapon in the epic battle against the globalists. Infowars Prime, where you can watch live high-definition feeds of The Alex Jones Show, plus exclusive insider videos from the Infowars crew and behind-the-scenes action. Go to Infowars.com/app and download today. Infowars Prime is available right now for your iPhone or Android. You will have access to exclusive videos that you can't see anywhere else. And that means live coverage of events and breaking news on location as it happens. You can also take advantage of amazing deals from the Infowars store that are only available for Infowars Prime subscribers. That's Infowars Prime at Infowars.com/app. If you can hear my voice, you are the resistance.